All right, legends, welcome to Cocktails in the Cupboard. I'm Gavin Wrigley, Head of Education for European Bartender School. This crazy chick's Mimi. Say hey, Mimi.
Hey.
Plan for today is we are going to teach you to make some classic cocktails, some awesome cocktails that you can have at home, but not using any of this pro equipment that Mimi is getting rid of right now. The plan is we use stuff that you can just find in your kitchen, around your house. We're also going to try and give you a couple of different options. Basically, we want to keep you drinking cocktails at home. So we are going to start with a Bloody Mary. We're gonna start with Bloody Mary. So I'm gonna make it with just a can of chopped tomatoes, actually. So your classic Bloody Mary uses tomato juice. Maybe you can't get that right now. I don't know what's happening where you are. But we're gonna use chopped tomatoes, and we are gonna just bang it in a blender. Mimi, could you do me a lime, please?
Sure.
So, chopped tomatoes goes in. So, boom. Can goes there. We're going to use that.
Do you need what?
Both sides, please. Both sides. Thank you. Now, usually in a Bloody Mary, you're going to get Worcestershire sauce, Tabasco, salt, pepper, vinegar, lime, lemon, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, we're going to try and keep it simple. So, this is going to be kind of a Bloody Maria. So, it's a Mexican twist on a Bloody Mary using mezcal instead of vodka. So, to make it a little bit Mexican, I'm using some taco spice mix. Boom, open that up. I'm gonna use 2 teaspoons, up to you if you want a bit more flavor in there. Maybe use a bit more. So look at that, just mixed spices. Boom, in, and boom, in. The other thing that I want is plenty of salt. Tomatoes love salt. If you've ever made a pasta sauce with tomatoes, you'll know that it likes to drink plenty of salt. So what are we missing? Of course, the good stuff. Monte Lobos, mezcal. This is gonna serve 2, so let's do 80 mils. And that is pretty much it. I've got my sour. You need the lime in there to cut through all of that salt and spice. I've got all the spice in there to lift that flavor up. I've got my tomato flavor in there, and I've got the all-important booze in there. If you want to make it a little bit spicy, chili, boom, cut the head off, in. Obviously, that's going to control the spice. Up to you. You want it more spicy? Add 2. Or use a bunch of different spices. Chipotle works really well. That's a bird's eye chili. You could also add little bits of vinegar. You can add all kinds of things to these. If you can add it to a tomato sauce, like a pasta, you can add it to a Bloody Mary. So that's in. It's already cold because I had kept my chopped tomatoes in the fridge. But if you wanted to add a cube of ice to that before you blend, then totally fine for that as well. So, excuse the noise for 1 second. That's good. Cool. So, yep. The round one, okay, nice. Cool. So, the only problem with blending our Bloody Mary is that we're gonna get a few kind of big air bubbles in there. So you can just kind of tap them out, or you can let it sit for a little while. So we're gonna let that sit. I've just got 2 cans there. So these are the cans of chopped tomatoes. I'm just gonna prep the garnish. So, sticking with my Mexican theme. I don't know if you can get avocados. If you can't, it doesn't really matter. You can use whatever you want. The classic garnish is a celery stick. We're gonna use a nice avocado. So half an avocado. Just trim that down a little bit. I'm just gonna go in half. Boom, like that. Take some skewers. Boom. In the bottom, like this. The plan is I'm gonna go all the way through. When I come through, just through to the top here, then I can start adding stuff. So, you know, we want a bit of color in there, so we'll just add a chili. Push that through a little bit more. Boom. So chili's on there. I kind of want one of these. Could you help me out? Maybe just get one of those on a spoon for me, please. Perfect, thank you. So caperberry goes on, and that goes through there like that. So I've got my garnish. Measure it up, wherever you want it to be. Boom, I want it to be there. Boom, in. then fill her up. And we do the other one as well. Nice. And pim pam. And we have Bloody Mary from the can.
Nice.
Woo. All right, sweet. Let's try these bad boys. Oh, oh, it's got some spice.
See.
Nice.
Really nice. Okay, let's make another version now of Bloody Mary. Really simple as well. We're not going to use any equipment again. It's going to be the same ingredients, but instead of Worcestershire sauce,
Worcestershire.
yeah, something like that, I'm going to use a Jack Daniel's barbecue sauce, just to add a bit of smoke in the Bloody Mary. You can add whatever you want. Okay, so can I get please the vodka? So I'm going to start to pour my spirit. So I'm going to pour 50 of vodka. And I'm going to use just a simple jar like this, okay? Just to build my cocktail. Thank you. I'm going to use proper tomato juice, okay? So what you can do as well, you can prepare your tomato juice with all the spices that you want in your drink, and you can leave it in the fridge all night, and you can use it the day after. And like this, all the spices and stuff can macerate in your tomato juice. But you could also do it like in a simple way. So I'm gonna just add the tomato juice. I'm gonna
But this doesn't have the spices in, right?
No, not yet. I'm going to put it now, just to show you what kind of spices you can use in I'm going to put 200. So usually what you put is the celery salt. I'm going to just use a smoky salt. I like it. It's really tasty. So you can put, I'm using a spoon, but it's basically 2 pinch.
Yeah, a couple of pinch.
Okay. And then you can anyway add as much as you want, it's not a problem. So this is hot paprika, chili powder, I like when it's spicy. This is some mixed herbs, and I will need some pepper, please, just here, thank you. So I'm gonna, same thing, I like when it's peppery.
But it's such a personal drink.
Yes, and then you just adjust the drink as you want. It's not a problem at all. Then, and I'm gonna add just this beautiful sauce. So I'm gonna add like half of a spoon. Yeah.
Some good stuff right there.
Yeah. So if you have another jar like this, so you know that kind of jar, so I'm going to use that to mix all the drinks, and just to make it like maybe more smooth or more silky. So I'm just going to try to mix a drink like that. Yeah, I know.
We got this.
Cool. To make sure that all the ingredients are mixed. Up. And you're gonna see the texture is gonna change a little bit. You can see that it's like more silky, more up.
Like you lose that graininess as well. Like it was like a little, like you saw some sandy stuff there before, but now it's disappeared.
And I'm gonna do it up. I think it'll be enough. Easy. So then I'm going to put some ice. Sorry. 1, 2, up. And I'm going to add 1. I think I didn't. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm going to put maestro, and I'm going to start to garnish. So I'm going to use onion here, up. Easy like this, you have something to eat, something to drink. It's a really, really nice drink. Up, I'm gonna use some pickle as well. So you don't have to be super complicated with your garnish. is just to make it, I love saying that, just to do like something a bit sexy.
Ooh.
Yeah, make it up. So nobody's gonna eat it, so I'm gonna use my hand if you don't mind, guys. So I'm gonna put that on my drink, and because I love herbs, I'm gonna use a bit of rosemary. I'm gonna bash it a bit.
You gonna torch it as well?
Yeah, a bit.
Nice.
Hop. And like this you have all the flavor of the herbs. And just a little bit. But again, if you want to prep everything the night before, I think it's even better. And like this you can get all the flavors of the spices and herbs that you can use. And that's it, and this is my barbecue Bloody Mary, guys.
Nice.
So obviously it depends what kind of spices or what kind of flavor would you like to put in your drink. Just be creative, and like there are no rules, just drink it as you want.
It takes like a minute for the flavor of this to leave your mouth anyway. Like, it sticks around for so long.
That's nice.
Let me taste it.
Spicy though. Well,
Oof.
yeah, cool.
Spicy. We need to make something refreshing now. Whiskey sours?
Whiskey sours?
Whiskey
Yep.
sours.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I make well, not a whiskey sour, but let's say that you can't make a whiskey sour because you don't have any of the ingredients. So main thing in a whiskey sour, the lemons. So if you haven't got lemons, there's really like one replacement, and that's vinegar. So basically the lemon in a whiskey sour is providing the sour note. So if you want to use that, if you want to get that sour note without using lemons, you can use some vinegar. This is sherry vinegar. You can use any vinegar you want. All right, I'll move this out of the way real quick. Bam, bam. Ah, could you maybe get me some strawberries on the go? We're just gonna cut the heads off and then just cut it into like, maybe because they're quite big, like 4 pieces, something like that. So with these strawberries as well, like you can kind of tell they're gonna get to the point where they're a little bit soft. And that's actually better for what we're doing, because we want the flavors to be released. We want the sugars to be released super easy. So the vinegar is gonna do that for us. But all I'm gonna do is chuck some the strawberry pieces into some vinegar and leave it for like 3 days. Don't worry, I did it 3 days ago, so we're good to go. A couple of jars, whatever, you can use any jar you've got lying around that's good. We're gonna do them in these because it's gonna be like a nice single serve cocktail that we can have ready to go pretty much. So strawberries go in. Don't worry too much about the measurements. Then I'm just gonna fill it to about halfway with the, what was it, sherry vinegar again? Yeah, sherry vinegar. Again, like I said, doesn't really matter which vinegar you use, but I'm just gonna go halfway. 2 things that's gonna happen here. 1, these strawberries are gonna last forever. Like, they're in vinegar now. Vinegar is gonna protect them from everything. So they're not gonna go bad, they're not gonna go moldy. What they're gonna do is they're gonna start to flavor the vinegar. We take these, put them in the fridge for 3 days. Luckily, I have 2 on ice just down here. So yeah, you can see like now, after 3 days, this is what happens. Starts out nice and fresh, and you can see the vinegar's started to eat the strawberries, and the vinegar's actually started to go a little bit red. All I'm gonna do now is add bourbon, and I'm gonna add some honey as well. So it's just like a whiskey sour. I've got bourbon, I've got sweetener, but instead of using sugar, I'm using honey. And instead of using lemon, I'm using vinegar. And I'm just flavoring it with some strawberries just to make it just a little bit more interesting. So it's kind of like a strawberry whiskey sour. We'll use makers. And again, this is purely because we don't know how acidic the vinegar is gonna be. I'm not gonna measure this, I'm gonna eyeball it, and I'm gonna taste and see if it needs something else. So I have an idea that it's gonna be about 2 parts to 1 part. So 2 parts vinegar to 1 part whiskey. I'm not trying to make a really strong drink here. And then I'm gonna take some honey, and obviously adjust the sweetness as you see fit. Boom. This is nice acacia honey. Again, something to note is like not all honey is made the same. Could you, Mimi, make me some crushed ice, please? There's like a tea towel just there. And because we've challenged ourselves not to use any bartending equipment. Cool, so I've done 2 teaspoons of acacia honey. Cool, I reckon the sweetness is probably good now.
3 is gonna be enough?
3 is gonna be plenty, yeah. Okay, you ready for this? Taste and move, taste and move. So we're just adjusting because this honey isn't as sweet as I thought it was gonna be. So just before we put the ice in, I'm gonna shake it because as soon as you put ice with honey, it likes to solidify again. So it's just easier to mix when it's not super cold. Okay, cool. So let's try and get some of that ice in here. Just jam that in there. You want to garnish for this, doesn't need it. Honestly, that is basically finished. Good to go, doesn't need too much ice. All we're gonna do is stick a straw in it. But if you do want to garnish it, if you're feeling fancy, on a Friday night, you can do this. In half, just make a small incision at an angle like this, boom, boom. Open her up,
Easy.
open her up, done. Couple of straws, pim, pam. That little incision is just gonna let that sit on the outside of the glass like that. And there we have whatever this is called. Cheers. Oh, you don't need citrus to make a whiskey sour, basically. I mean, it's not exactly a whiskey sour, it's a whiskey shrub if you want to call it that, but it follows the same rules, basically. Sour, sweet, spirit. Done.
Exactly what
Cheers.
I'm going to use for mine, actually.
Aha!
Yeah, except that I don't have yet the sweetness, so I'm going to show you how to make a sugar syrup.
On it.
Some water for me.
It's coming, it's coming.
Yeah, perfect. So I have already here 60 grams of sugar, white sugar. I'm just going to add boiled water in it, leave it for a little while and then shake it, and I will have like a simple sugar syrup. Then you were talking about the balance and the acidity, so I will need, if you don't mind, lemon juice.
Yep, on it.
Fresh lemon juice.
How much?
30. I will need 30 of lemon juice. I'm going to use a bitter, which is an aromatic bitter. If you don't have it at home, it's not a problem because Gavin is going to show you after how to make a homemade aromatic bitter. Really, really easy. But for my recipe, I'm going to use the Angostura bitter. The only thing that I'm going to change is instead of using egg white, I'm going to use agua faba. What is agua faba? It's just chickpea water. Okay, so you can get a can of chickpeas, and you're going to use just the water, and you're going to have the same consistency of a whiskey sour made with egg white. Obviously, I'm not going to use any equipment. I'm just going to use that peanut butter jar. The water is almost boiled. Yes, I think
Good to go?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like 80 degrees.
Yeah.
It'll do.
That's perfect. I'm going to use the scale here. It's pretty easy. You got to see up. And I'm going to add 60 grams of water.
60 grams of water is just the same as 60 mils, in case
Exactly.
anyone's wondering.
Up. I'm going to leave it a little bit
I can
like this.
mix it up for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Easy. So 5 ingredients: Angostura, instead of the egg white, chickpea water, and then bourbon here, and my lemon. Perfect. I have everything. My sugar is ready. Okay, you can start then. So I'm going to start 1, 2, Angostura bitter. I'm going to put here my lemon juice, up, easy. Instead of the egg white, I'm going to use this. I'm going to put 15. Even for vegan people, it's actually perfect. And I'm going to put 60 up here of bourbon. Maker's Mark is pretty good, I have to say. And I'm going to finish with my sugar syrup. And I'm going to put 15 as well. Of sugar. So I'm gonna do a dry shake, okay? So for whiskey sour, usually when you use egg whites, you always do a dry shake. It's really important to break a little bit the texture of the egg whites. It's gonna be the same here with the chickpea water. So I'm gonna shake a little bit. Up. This is the dry shake, okay? And then I'm gonna add ice cubes, so you can see here already the form, okay, that you can get when you shake with egg white or here with chickpea water. And then I'm gonna add just 2 pieces of ice. I love these ones. Up, and I'm gonna shake. Let's shake.
I mean, it sounds like it's doing a good job.
Yeah, it's actually working. It is working. It's enough. I have enough form. Perfect. And I have to pour. I don't need like any strainer because I have 2 big pieces of ice, so I don't really need to strain the drink. Just to make sure, make sure that I'm keeping the ice inside the jar. And actually it's really well designed because the ice stay just perfectly on the top, and I have the foam. Yes, that's actually perfect.
Super nice. Considering you made it in a peanut butter jar, that looks absolutely banging.
Yep. And that's it. Now, simple garnish. So if you have your beater at home, you can use your beater. I'm going to use a stick as well. It's pretty easy to do. I'm going to make 3 dots. Boom, boom, boom. Up. And you have like a classic whiskey sour made with chickpeas water. Pretty easy.
Nice.
Right? Obviously, if you usually you drink your whiskey sour with ice in a rock glass, you can definitely make it like that. It's not a problem at all. You can still use all the equipment that I used to make it. That's it, guys.
So perfect. So no eggs needed. Just a bit of lemon juice.
And it's perfect.
I guess you could still do the lemon zest over the top if you want.
Oh yeah.
Boom. Next up, in case you don't like, you know, the umami forward, we can go the spiritus road. So, next 2 we're both gonna make an old fashioned. Again, trying to avoid anything that might be difficult for you guys to get. So, we used to use Angostura in that last one, but let's say you don't have Angostura. We can try and make our own bitters. So, first thing I'm gonna do to make our own bitters, while Mimi gets me ready, 1 peel of lemon. The whole thing, please, and the white part on the inside, the pith,
sure.
leave that in there for me, please. Same with the orange, and I'm also gonna take a banana skin as well. So basically, bitters, guys, is a maceration, like an infusion, if you will, of a bunch of different flavors. Usually some citrus in there just to lift it, but a lot of it is hard spices. We are gonna start with a bunch of different things while Mimi's prepping that. This could be anything. Now, I'm using stuff which I found in my cupboard, basically. First thing, cardamom pods. Now, I'm using whole cardamom here. And again, these amounts, they're rough guides. So don't worry too much. I'm gonna use, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cardamom pods. Now with the cardamom pods, they're closed, which means that the cardamom that's inside, the cardamom seeds, good way to open them up is just lie them flat on a chopping board or on the table, knife on top, and you can just crack them like that. And then you'll see they open up slightly, and you get these kind of black seeds on the inside. Boom, and that's what's got all the flavor in there. And if you buy them in pods, these seeds will, they'll retain the flavor for a lot longer than if you just buy the seeds. A couple of pinches of cumin. So we have cumin, coriander. We've got like these kind of like deep flavors here, but we're also putting lemon zest and orange zest in there. So coriander is a really good bridge between those two things because it's peppery. Next up, pink peppercorn. It's just gonna add a little bit of a peppery note to it. Boom. Cloves, I would say always put cloves in bitters. They're amazing. So I'm putting like 8 cloves in there, which is more than I would put in anything else. Bitters can handle it. You want bitters to be strong. If it's too strong, you just use less. It's not a problem because it's not there to be a base spirit. Star anise. Let's say 2 decent sized star anise. They're usually a bit broken up, so it's up to you. So star anise goes in there. I'm gonna go 1 cinnamon stick. Cool, so with this cinnamon, I'm gonna open it up. Now this is Ceylon cinnamon, which means it's a loose leaf cinnamon, so it opens up quite nicely. So you can just kind of break it with your fingers. Cool, so bunch of spices in there. Now I've got my citrus and banana peels all cut down finely, thanks Mimi. Obviously the finer you cut it, if you remember high school science, surface area increases the rate of reaction. So cutting it down finer is gonna help us infuse quicker. Cool, so I have all of my stuff in there. All I need now is some alcohol, and high proof alcohol is gonna be the best thing for it. So, high proof alcohol, and because we're using it in an old fashioned, I'm gonna use overproof bourbon. So, I'm not gonna measure it. All I wanna do is just cover all those spices. So hold it up, boom, boom, boom. I don't wanna waste this because I wanna drink some of it later. This is good though.
Yeah.
This is gonna be badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't need to cover it all the way anyway because because this is good bourbon. But also it's gonna sink down as we microwave it. So simple as that. I'm gonna put the top on and I'm gonna just chuck it in the microwave for 2 minutes. Now this same recipe, you can use this and you could just leave it like this, put it in a cupboard, come back in 3 months and it's good to go. Make sure the lid's on, goes in the microwave. 2 minutes. Bitters comes out. So 2 minutes is perfect. I wouldn't do what I just did, but you want to smell it? From like down here, I would say. All right, if you really want to wake yourself up, go right in there and give it a smell. We have our bitters. Obviously, we don't want all of this stuff in there. We could be really specific or really particular and strain it really, really finely, but we're gonna do it a bit rough right now. This is just like a little mini bottle, Chambord bottle, and we just poked a hole in the top. So a little spike, poke a hole in the top, and you've got yourself a bitters bottle. Let's see if I can just...
No, it's working, perfect.
Nice. All right, that'll do. Cool. I'm gonna set this to one side. We'll fix it later on. Lid goes on. And just to check, and if you ever want to taste bitters, a good way to do it is either on the back of your hand or just on the palm of your hand. So, boom, on the palm. As long as it dashes nicely, you can smell it like that. So, boom, homemade bitters in the microwave. We have our bitters. I'm just gonna put these back. Now we're gonna make an old fashioned, huh? The other thing that we're gonna need for this old fashioned is the sugar, of course. So, sugar?
Yes.
You're on sugar?
Yes.
I'm on kettle.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a different sugar syrup. So this time we used 2 kind of sugar. Demerara sugar, brown sugar, basically, and Muscovado sugar with like more intense flavor. So I just mixed 30 and 30 grams each, and we're gonna add again 60 grams of water.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So just to
Yeah, you can see the difference here, like in Demerara on the bottom and
Yeah.
Muscovado on the top.
Yeah.
So 60 grams?
Yeah, 60 grams, please.
Cool, so sugar's on its way. We're gonna do 2 kinds of old fashions with the sugar syrup. I'm gonna do my pre-batch first. So, basically what I mean by pre-batch is I am gonna put it all into a bottle and just have it ready to go. Because maybe sometimes, you know, you finish a hard day's staying at home doing absolutely nothing and you wanna just go straight to the fridge and grab an old fashioned. You don't wanna mess around. So this is gonna be ready to go. if it's gonna be 4, I'll do 6 dashes because it's gonna be about 1.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 dashes of our homemade bitters. 20 grams of the sugar syrup. So pour it in.
Nice color.
It's beautiful, huh? I love the complexity when you mix a couple of different brown sugars as well. So I have 20 grams there, and we use our maker's mark again. I'm gonna use 100 grams, which again, like, not to get too scientific, but 100 grams of 40% alcohol roughly is gonna be about 90 mils or something like that, because alcohol's a bit lighter than water, so it's like 0.9 of a gram per milliliter for 40% alcohol, something like that. 100 grams, yes, so 100 grams. It's hard to get 0.9. Okay, so it was 101 grams. Cool, so I got 101 grams of that. And I'm just gonna add the dilution because I'm not gonna use ice for this drink. We're not straight up anyway. So I'm not gonna stir this drink like you normally would for an old fashioned. Like I said, I want it to be ready. I wanna go straight to the fridge, pour it in a glass, and drink it. So I need to pre-dilute. So it doesn't need to be hot water, it can just be cold water, but this is just here. So let's do another 20 grams of water on top. And that's basically everything that you're gonna have in an old fashioned. It's good to go. You chuck that in the freezer because it's alcohol, so it's not gonna freeze basically. So this goes into the freezer. In 1 second, I just go to the freezer. And it comes out like this. And we basically have this old fashioned ready to go. And you can just take this. Could you do me an orange zest, please? Orange zest. We can drop a cube in there. Simple as that. Once you've got it ready, and you can make this massive, you know, it doesn't need to be any particular size. Like, you can make full bottles of it. It's gonna last a hell of a long time. It's just sugar, spirit, and some spices. Little garnish over the top, that'll just freshen it up. Little around the rim, drop that in. Cheers. Pre-batched old-fashioned.
Okay, let's do my smoked old-fashioned.
Let's do it.
And I'm gonna smoke just with a cinnamon stick. So don't you worry, you can use whatever you want. You can, if you have tea at home, you can definitely use tea to smoke your glass, okay? So I'm gonna show you how to do it. So it's pretty easy. You know, people sometimes they got scared, but it's not that crazy.
You need an assistant though to turn it off for you.
Yeah, definitely. Up. Let's go. Cool. You can see like straight away the smoke. Boom. Do you mind if I use your bitter?
You want this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same recipe. Instead of using the Angostura bitter, which is the aromatic bitter, I'm just going to use your bitter. Perfect. So 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Usually when I make my old fashioned, I don't put that much sugar because I don't like it when it's too sweet. But I know that it's a boozy cocktail, so if you want to have like a sweet cocktail start to drink boozy cocktail like an old fashioned or Manhattan, whatever, like you can add a little bit more sweetness. It's not a problem at all. But for my old fashioned, I'm just gonna use like 10 milliliters of.
She likes it dry, but there's no rules,
I'm
guys.
sorry. No rules, exactly. Up. We're gonna make the old fashioned with the same bourbon as you. Maker's mark, and I'm gonna put 60 of that. 40 and 20. Perfect. So instead of using water, I'm going to use the ice.
Of course.
To bring a bit of dilution. So I'm going to use 2 big ice cubes. Okay. So to add a little bit of water and to refresh your drink, so you're going to stir with ice cube. And you can use whatever you have at home. So I don't know, you can maybe use this. I prepare this just to show you. Yeah.
Or this.
Or this, for example. how do you call that?
Chopstick.
Yeah, chopstick. Okay, so you can use that, you can use a plastic straw, you can use like steel straw, whatever. The idea is just like to stir, mix your drink and bring a bit of dilution, right? So we're gonna do it now. It's really easy. So I use this teapot.
It's nice, I like it.
It's kind of sexy. And the fact that it's in steel as well is going to keep the drink fresh and cold. So that's why I prefer to use that one. But you can use another teapot. There's not a problem at all.
Would you like an orange zest?
Yes.
Because I can do that.
Please.
Okay,
yes.
On it.
I'm going to add now my ice cube. Boom. And I'm going to pour my drink out. I just stay close to my glass. I don't want to. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, thank you. Good timing. Then I'm going to squeeze my zest just to make sure that I got as much as possible oil, the oil that I have on my skin. Okay. Oh my God, I just can't wait to drink this. And this is a proper smoked old-fashioned.
All right. So, cheers. Again. Hope you guys are all safe. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope it gives you some ideas. Remember, there's no rules, especially if you're at home, like us as bartenders, and hopefully some of you as bartenders as well. Look, there's a lot of rules we have to follow, but when you're at home, that's a perfect time to just break the rules, see what happens, play with flavors. As long as you're doing something safe and you enjoy the drink, then it's great, and you might be onto something, and maybe like breaking the rules is how we get new drinks and new ideas and basically inspiration for everything. So I hope you guys are all safe. I hope you're keeping well.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. See you on the other side. And if you need more education, a little bit more formalized, then you can check out some of the online courses at barschool.net. Enjoy, and we'll see you soon, I hope. Cheers.
Yeah.